This podcast includes explicit language and sensitive topics that some may find offensive.
All views expressed belong to the individual speaking and not a representation of any entity that we have been, am now, or will be affiliated with. It's your chance to back out now.
That being said,
If not, enjoy the show.
Previously on the Black Man Misunderstood.
For the groom and bride, all right? Why did y'all choose to have a wedding ceremony as opposed to just sign?
Black man, misunderstood.
It's your boy Mike B.
In the neighborhood therapist.
Welcome to the Black Man Misunderstood. Here we discuss topics about the black man that others are afraid to speak on. I am your host, the neighborhood therapist. You can also call me Justice Payne Tyson when I'm feeling like in the mood to respond to that. And as always, I'm rocking with my brother, as always, Mike B.
Yeah.
And this is season 3, episode 32, Listener Appreciation 2. Who do we have with us today, Mike B?
We have this gentleman that's been following us on social media a little bit the last several years now. And let's do this. How about he introduce himself? Go ahead, Mr. Listener. Let the people know who you are.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? My name is David. I'm from Chicago, and I've been listening to you guys for a minute right now. You guys are doing a good job, and keep up the good work. You know, we need spaces like this, especially for black men, you know.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Okay. Before we start knocking you over the head with all the questions and things like that, tell us what you do. Tell us who you are.
Oh, well, I'm David. I'm from Chicago. I'm a social worker full-time at the VA, and I'm a therapist part-time. So,
Okay. How'd you get into the VA?
Well, when I was in grad school at Loyola, I had a mentor who was also at the VA, and he was like, maybe you can get into intern. And I got into intern and really liked it, and they wanted to hire me on. So that's how I kind of got there. So it's been a pretty good ride so far.
You said you're doing therapy on the side.
Yep.
Okay. Love it, hate it. Talk to me.
I think it's interesting because therapy, I like it because when we work at a private practice, you have clients that want the help. You know, it's different between that and case management because with case management, you're almost chasing people. But when therapy is kind of like, they want the help, so they're putting the extra time. But the con with that sometimes is the inconsistency. So sometimes I'll see clients weekly, but out the blue, they kind of disappear. And it's kind of like what I'm learning, you almost need to have a sales background, not sales background, but have sales experience because you want to have certain goals, certain numbers. So say you want to have 10 clients, you really might need 15 or 20 on the book because, 5 or 10 might cancel or, some people might switch insurances and sometimes might not be the fit and it's okay. So I'm learning a lot about that. Also, I'm kind of learning too with grad school. I feel like they taught us how to be therapists, but also I felt like they should taught us more about the business,
Right.
and I really think that that's missed in grad school because I know a lot of people are good at therapy, but when it comes to billing insurance, when it comes to like tax write-offs, accounting, all that's very important. So,
Yo, my boy coming in here just speaking straight.
I'm trying to be cool. I know it's just the beginning of the episode, but he already taking it there. So I'm just gonna throw out my chaos theory. Am I cool to throw out a chaos?
Go ahead, bro.
Sure.
Go ahead, bro.
I feel like it's like that by design because they want more employees. They don't want us going into private practice because that's gonna hurt certain pockets. Because people that look like me and you that come out, and I'm gonna blow up your spot a little bit. People that like to travel and go to WWE events, you know what I'm saying? The other counterparts, they not built like that. So you have that certain experience that you could bring to therapy. If you do that in private practice, you're gonna take, in their eyes anyway, you're gonna take money off of their plate because everybody they're gonna gravitate towards you because they're gonna be like, oh, the therapist I got, he ain't going to WWE events, he ain't never met The Rock, you know what I mean? Like, what I mean? So I think that's part of it too. But because I feel like we've been saying it for a while now, but they still not budging, they still not changing it.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like when it comes to my sessions too, I try to be relatable and also try to show myself as well. But also, you kind of have to be careful as a therapist because you might have certain opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be careful on how you present your opinion. Now, you don't want to be, how should I say it? You don't want to be neutral all the time. At the same time, you got to pick your battles.
Right.
So, especially how the world is now, you say one thing in wrong context, everybody's like, "Oh God, you know, you."
Lord, are you talking about it? Is that cancer culture?
Right.
This man Mike been trying to do this cancel culture episode all season. We might have to do it today.
Touch on it a bit, no, you can't. We can't just bring this over me last minute now. I gotta prep for my episodes, man.
All right, let me start it off. Mike, you can go after me.
I got you.
So David, why do you listen to the show and what keeps you intrigued? Keep it all the way above. We welcome all smoke.
I think what keeps me intrigued is the different topics and opinions you guys have. And despite sometimes I might disagree with some of the opinions, I respect that you guys have them. I think a lot of times people don't want to hear other people's opinions if it doesn't align with them. Also, I kind of like you guys because, as I said, I feel like you guys, it's like, I was talking to one of my buddies about rappers, and I was like, the one of the rappers I like is like Little Brother and Fonte because they're relatable. It's like, you guys are relatable. Like, you guys are going through stuff like me. I'm not married, but seeing your experiences about marriage and stuff is pretty good, and just that's important. So I really like that part of it. And I like all the different topics you guys talk about too.
So of course, you already sent me speaking about all these different topics and giving all some good points, stuff that we relatable. But where do you think we need to improve on, though? Honestly.
I think honestly, you guys are doing good so far. I kind of want to see where stuff goes because, like, for example, a couple. I don't know. There was other question. Like the couple episodes I liked the most was like being out on your own, and because I like that one from a different perspective because I remember I was living at home for a minute, and I find it interesting how other races let their people stay at home. They let them stay at home, let them stack their bread, and then eventually they come out buying stuff. They buy a house, or buy properties and stuff. And I kind of feel like I get where some people come from when they want people to be on their own to learn, but at the same time building that wealth up. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Right.
And the other episode I like too was like, what a time to be 30. Like me, I'm 31. I'm 31, single, no kids, and I see a lot of my buddies get married and stuff. Like, congratulations, Mike, again on the wedding.
Thank you.
And it was great. But also at the same time, I still kind of felt it some way because it's like it's one of those things that it hits you a little more when you get older, when you see people get married and stuff. And that episode, you guys talked about how being 30 is still a good thing. Still kind of prospering, still looking forward to things of that nature. And I think, while I like to me, especially me being 30 now, I'm more focused than I've ever been. You kind of, avoid distractions and stuff. So
Come on here.
Yo, he did not. Boy did his homework and so.
So tell you, I was listening to y'all for a minute.
Man. Okay. All right. Hot seat. You gave us 2 episodes, but out of all 3 seasons, you got to tell us what's your favorite episode.
That's a good question, man. I feel like I like them all for different reasons. I think some episodes are good because I like the balance of being funny and also being serious at the same time. Like one episode I like was about when you guys had Jordan Brown on talking about living in the suburbs, because I was also from the suburbs. So it's kind of interesting to see, like, I live in the city now, but also I kind of find it interesting because, how it divides us, especially as African Americans. Oh, you from the burbs, you ain't really black, but then if you had the same opportunities, you'd be out here too. So it's kind of like, so
Tell him, bro. Tell him.
That's facts.
So it's kind of like, it's some of those situations I really like, especially like, going through work, going through different life tribulations, not tribulations, but going through life and just hearing like you two just talk about it is pretty good, and I think you guys aren't afraid of speaking your mind. Like, for example, Mike, what you said about your view on marriage, like, I don't agree with it, but I respect it because you stood on it,
Right.
Yeah.
like again, people get married like that. Anybody, people want to get married. Hey, that's fine. But I respect you for it because you standing on your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You're not forcing it on other people.
Nope.
But at the same time, you expressing it how you feel.
Yep.
And I think some people should respect that.
Ooh, hitting on the topics, boy. Boy, doing his homework, man. No, for real though, that's on everything that you just said. Like that's what we try to convey, and I think that was like the original brainchild of this in our first season, where we were just trying. All right, let's just talk about from our point of view on things, just to shed light because I felt like always felt like these topics are always there. But how truly, how much do we actually speak on it honestly?
Yeah, and I feel like we can speak on them in a respectful way, of
Mhm.
course. I'm not trying to sit back and be like, "Oh, you MFers," you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. You want to be respectful, but at the same time, like that's how people grow.
Mhm.
Like for example, politics. Like I got my opinion on politics, but at the same time, we can learn from both sides.
Yeah.
I got friends on both sides of the table, and it's like, I think you could take some stuff from here, you could take some stuff from here, but you don't learn unless you grow. You don't have to necessarily agree with them, but at the same time, it's like, that's how you can learn something. But the favorite episode I like so far this season, when you guys recorded the bachelor party, like when you guys were out kicking it and stuff like that, that was good because it was like, and it's good because it showed that, people listen to you guys. Sometimes you might be thinking like, oh man, I'm just speaking to my boy I knew for a minute, but at the same time, it's like it shows that people are listening. And sometimes you want that slow, steady fan build. It's the quality, not quantity.
Mhm.
You don't want. I'd rather have like 5 or 10 loyal listeners versus having a whole bunch of people, and then like you say one thing, they're like, oh, I don't, you're canceled. So.
Yep. Nope. I totally agree. And that's kind of, it's kind of funny because like season 2, I brought up more of my marketing side of things, and and then season 3, I ramped up little stuff for us now. But even still, like I know I'm not doing everything to the top level that I want to just yet for the podcast, but I know at the same time we're garnering interest and building that soul following. So when it does come time and all the media goes out left and right, and everyone's seeing this everywhere, it's gonna be easy for anyone to recognize and be like, yo, they did it. They started from the bottom. Now they at the top. Now we here. That's it.
Yeah.
So that was his favorite episode.
Right.
What episode did you hate?
I won't say I hated any episode. I think some of the episodes like I learned a lot more than others. I mean, it's nothing bad. Like I'm not saying like one episode was weaker than others. It's some episodes was like those are bars right there, but other episodes it was kind of good to listen to too. So I don't really have any bad episodes so far. You guys keep doing the good work.
I got a question.
What's up?
Mike, you don't have an episode that you don't like?
Oh, me right now?
Yeah.
Our catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Don't like? I don't know if I don't like. I think it could have been better, in my honest opinion. Honestly, I think I have one per season. One per season. I think honestly, the episode in season 1 for me, I think it was the homosexuality episode in the black community, right? Because I feel like the 2-parter, how it started, and it was going in one direction, and then it went to a different direction where I don't think we were as prepared for topics that were brought up or had the right individuals to speak on it. And then in season 2, I would say, honestly, the spiritual no. The war on politics. I think that's the name of the episode, if I remember correctly. That one, I think we did prematurely because within within the last year and a half after we recorded that thing. I think there's so much more that happened now that some of the stuff that I did say, I could have said it differently. And I'm not saying what I said was wrong or that's not how I was feeling in the moment. I think I would have gave a better understanding on some of my points because I think I was just rattling off the mouth on that episode.
No.
And then this season, I'd say episode 10. What's the name of that? On the book with our guest. What's her name?
Oh man. Blessings in Broken Places.
Blessings in Broken Places. Because I think that episode could have went a totally different route towards the throughout the episode. Even though it was still a good episode and people loved it, I personally think we could have went a slightly more different route and it'd been even better. Those are my 3 worst episodes in my opinion. One for me too.
Okay. I don't really have a beef with season 2. It was cool. It was cool. I like the sibling rivalry. That was hard.
Sibling rivalry ridiculous.
Season 1, shockingly, for me, I didn't like the Juneteenth episode. Just me. I feel
the
like
very first episode we were
the
just
very first episode, the pilot episode, right? Going back and listening to it, I cringe a little. That's just me. And I think it's just because I've grown so much from that person, that individual. I'm still him, but like a lot of the things that I was saying, I still stand on. But I kind of like, it's kind of like a father looking at his son, like, "Oh, you still got some time to learn," type of thing.
You understand in 2 years, type of thing.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can see that too. I can see that too. Yep.
Right. It's a lot of that. But for sure, I gotta agree with you for this season. Yeah, it was a blessing in Broken Places. Only because shout out to Val Stinson, our first listener appreciation. He said we making albums, right? So I feel like the third season was like a double disc. And we coming to the end of the double disc. And in my personal opinion, it's not just me because I'm a part of it, but just me listening to the season. I was just like, dang, I can't stop listening. Like, this is me and Mike.
I'll be doing the same thing, bro.
Like, season 3, if you really go back and listen to episode 1 through, and it's gonna be, do we let the cow at the back, Mike? Is it time?
Which cow at the back?
Telling them the final episode with the number?
We could.
All right. It's gonna be 33 episodes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So this is 32. So we got one left, right? So if you go 1 through 33, I am telling you, hands down, if you listen to it, if you really open minded to it, you're gonna be like, damn, they got a banger. Oh, this a banger too. Yo, his mom on here, this crazy. Like it gets absolutely nuts. But when you get to 10, that to me is a toss. That's one of them songs you like, okay, if I hear it more, it might grow on me.
Yeah.
It's not a complete skip through, like Good Kid, Mad City had one of those for me. I don't remember the name of it. That's how much I listened to it. But you see what I'm saying? So it's one of those. Like, and then I'll give you a case in point. Money Trees. That was one of those songs that I listened to once and I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. Now you put on Money Trees, I said Holly Berry. I'm in that thing. So 10 is like that to me too. So that's where I go with that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we got to remember, sometimes we could be our biggest critics.
Yep.
True.
Like, I think sometimes like we be like, oh, I did okay. Then people be like, oh, you killed your speech or you killed your podcast. So it's like sometimes we could be our, biggest critics though. But again, sometimes we got to think about that stuff and how we move forward too. So
it's always about adjusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Now this one might be a little hard, D. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm still throwing it out there. All
right.
Who was your favorite guest so far?
That's a good one, man. It's between Jordan Brown and I think you guys had I forgot who you guys had on, but when you guys did 90s R&B, that was pretty good.
Oh, he talking about
Shout out to
Yeah.
Mentally Dope
mentally
Podcast.
dope.
We see y'all.
Yeah, Charmaine
Yeah.
and Jasmine.
Okay.
Yo.
Yeah, that was pretty good because it's like I think when people say R&B is dead, part of me feels like I see where some people come from, but at the same time, I feel like now independent stars, you can hear more about independent stars than you did back in the day. Like I was talking, like I'm gonna bring it to rap for a minute. Like I was talking to one of my guys, like Lloyd Banks back then had to make a commercial hit. Like Beamer Benz and Bentley was like, all right to me.
Right.
But Banks had bars.
Mm-hmm.
But now Banks, with with being independent and streaming, he can kind of step in his own lane. Like now, like I feel like R&B now you can kind of be in your own lane, like your Devin Morrisons and stuff like
Mhm.
that. I feel like, and even Lucky Day, he's in his lane. But I
Mm-hmm.
kind of feel like '90s R&B is timeless too at the same time because it's like, man, it had tracks. I mean, we can't name the person who ran the '90s, but I mean, he had an era. So it's like, I
Those
mean,
fighting words, bro.
Yo, he from Chi-Town. You already
I know, but like, but those songs were timeless. But
Still are.
it was interesting to have those discussions. So
Yeah.
I want to be petty. Can I be petty?
Go ahead, bro. Be petty.
Who ran the '90s R&B? Is it safe to throw out Usher, or even dare I say it? Is it blasphemy to say R. Kelly?
it's hard, man, because I believe I can fly, bro. Like
I'm just saying, bro.
like,
It's so many remixes to that song alone when you in
Like-
grammar school. I believe I can fly. Got shot by the FBI. Yeah,
Shot by the FBI.
Come on now.
Mhm.
All I wanted was some chicken wings. I live chilling.
Yeah. So it's like, it's just it's hard. I mean, because I felt Usher's prime, to be honest with you, was in the 2000s.
You might have a point.
The funny thing
know-
is, yes, because I'll tell you like this. I think about it like this. So it's R. Kelly, right? If you say R. Kelly 90s, right? Then it goes to Usher. Technically, I'm gonna say Chris Brown is 2010s because he killed the 2010s.
When did Run It come out? Do we know?
That was 05, 06. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. That's what.
Yo, I don't know, man.
No, you gotta think about it like
Can't give
this.
it to-
Chris Brown has had a
Can't give it
banger.
to Usher at that
No,
point.
but look, Chris Brown has had a banger every year. But at the same time, you gotta think during that time, Usher matured, and that's when Confessions came out. Let It Burn. You gotta remember the time that it was like R. Kelly, here Usher took over, then Chris Brown came, and it was like, then it was Chris. Literally.
I got a question for y'all for Chris. Does Chris Brown have a classic album?
No.
Because Chris has quality. Like he has
Yes.
singles.
Mm-hmm.
But like as a whole
Whole
album,
album?
does he have a classic?
No.
In all honesty, I think his best whole album, and I like Chris a lot, is probably his first album.
I think Fame is close to a classic. Not a classic, but I think Fame is closer. But I think Chris has.
I can give you that too. No, I can definitely give you that too. Yep. But yeah, Chris has bangers. Some of his tracks on some of his later albums is like, all right, Chris, you doing too much, man. Cut some of this back. I love you, but you need to cut some of this back.
So who you going with? Mentally Dope or Jordan?
That's a hard one, man. I might have to go with Mentally Dope because those R&B, man, it's just those discussions. Like, and I think, because again, like everybody talks about the 90s, which I get, but at the same time, like, those eras, like, for example, like people might think this is controversial, but I don't think, I mean, Brandy was okay. Like, like Monica was okay. Like they had a couple tracks, but they weren't like, I don't get I respect they had fans.
Right.
But at the same time with Brandy and Monica, I feel like you put them against Beyonce. You put them up with Jill Scott. You know what I'm saying? Erykah Badu. It's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Hey, you just got to tell them, use their own stuff against them. Almost doesn't count.
Right.
We still love y'all though. No hate, no hate. We love y'all.
Oh no, hey, yeah, no
That's
hate.
silly, but nah.
Again, we're gonna use another song against you. Don't take it personal. It's just one of them days, okay?
Yeah. And again, I don't think it's them. I just think sometimes it could just be the fans that kind of make you
Right.
like,
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
Yeah. No, definitely,
Alright.
definitely. All right.
Okay. He went mentally dope. Nah. You're not about to run from this smoke, Mike B.
Oh Lord.
Who is your favorite guest so far? This episode does not count.
Oh, favorite guess?
Mm-hmm.
Let me trying to think. Honestly, you know what? In all honesty, even though that episode is actually funny to a lot of people, I would honestly say my siblings, because I learned a lot more on the way they were thinking of certain things when we were younger. So my sibling rivalry 2. Oh, yeah.
Okay. To me, the undisputed champs, everybody has to. The bar has been set by these two. I have to pick between these two. It's Advocate and it's C. Anderson.
I forgot about C. Hold up, yo, C. Yo,
C. Anderson.
yeah, I forgot about C.
Anderson was crazy. David, did you hear that episode?
I gotta probably go. To be honest with you, I probably have to go back on the
Mhm.
podcast and listen to it, but I gotta listen to that one.
C.
I'm
Anderson.
being honest. I'm being honest.
Nah, that's real. C. Anderson was crazy. Advocate. I think I love the Advocate episode so much because so many people came over from his camp and then they saw the banter back and forth. Like that was a really fun episode, and then it turned into a really educational episode.
Yeah.
So I don't think people was ready for that. Now I would go back and I would clean up a lot of the cursing that I did. Again, growth. But I thought it was a dope episode. But that C. Anderson episode, I think I got to give it to her. The education, the femininity topic that she hit us with, it was a lot. It was a lot. That's a bar.
No.
She set the bar for me.
You know what? Yeah, because I'm pretty sure we got to bring her back later on at some point.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to know. You got it, Mike.
So, what makes the Black Man Misunderstood different from other podcasts that you already listened to? Mr. Dick.
I think the difference is, like, again, I think you guys are more relatable. It's one thing when celebrities do podcasts, like, you know, Joe Budden and them or Charlemagne and them, but I feel like you guys are more relatable because I'm not saying you guys aren't celebrities, but like, it's just, we're just normal people,
Right.
and I think, you guys have a different perspective and you guys aren't scared to express your opinions. And I respect that, you guys do it in a professional way. And I respect that because a lot of people are kind of scared to do one thing or a lot of people scared to do another thing. And it's like, we grow because and we don't know everything,
All right. Those were the podcast questions. I want to get into some real blackety black stuff. Can we get into that?
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Truest thoughts on the state of a black man in America in 2023.
I think the black man in a 23, it's both pros and cons. I think the pro of a black man in 2023 is that I feel like we're addressing our mental health more than we ever did. Me being a therapist, I'm seeing a lot of African American males going to therapy. I think a lot of people talk about mental health, and that's a good thing because a lot of times people want to call the generation soft, but you look back in the day of those macho men, a lot of those dudes killed themselves, or a lot of those dudes were broke, like a lot of this generation, a lot of us are focused more on money and business and, think about different ways how to make it out here. And I think, our parents and grandparents, taught us, go to college. If you don't go to college, can I curse on here? My bad.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, let's go. Like, I think a lot of the older generation is like, oh, if you don't go to college, you ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people are making it in different ways, and that's one thing I respect about the black man in 2023. We don't got a choice. We got to make this money, or we got to try to figure out a different way to think, or society's going to tell us in a way that we're not going to like. I think the con of the black man in 2023 is that we need to be more accountable for certain situations. Granted, some people might look at me a different way when I say this, but it's kind of like we can't I get the system did something to us. I'm not denying that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, what we're gonna do?
Mm.
You
Right.
know, what we're gonna do? You know, the system's bad, but at the same time, like the world keeps spinning.
Mhm.
You know, I think black folks we need to get more into politics. You know, I think with Trump in 2016, the only good thing I think that Trump brought was that people got more informed. You know, people going like, you know what, this guy got in office. You know what, I don't like him. I'm gonna go to law school, or I'm gonna be focused more on my local government. You know, a lot of people need to be more aware. And I think sometimes too, we just can't be loyal to a party. We got to be seeing what's going on. You know, we got to figure out like, okay, you know, you guys do this now, but what about when you're in office? You know, hold more people accountable. So
He talking. Boy is talking.
Hard. Hard.
Poison
Yeah.
cons. I like how he did that too.
Yeah. Balance
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
because I don't want to be I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, black folks, we need to do this, we need to do that,
Mhm.
or the young generation ain't shit, you know, back in my day. You know, I don't want to be that. So I mean, I want to give like, you know, props where props credit is due, because a lot of millennials and Generation Z people are thinking in a different way and they're moving in a different way. Now, you might not be successful at it, but I respect you trying. You know, so I think, but also too, you know, just because something happens the first time doesn't mean you have to quit. You know, just because you face adversity for the first time doesn't mean you have to quit and everything. And I think sometimes we need to get back to accountability. Like, you learn more from you losers instead of getting a participation trophy. So,
Right.
you know,
Yes, sir. That's it. I think the only point that I can add to this is that I feel is that the black man is no longer that puppet as much as we were back in the day.
yeah,
We still don't get me wrong. We still want to have the puppets out here, but we are not as much as the puppet. We're not the thing. Oh, here's a black man. We're gonna throw him in front of you. It's still happening, but it's not as much as it used to be.
like Herschel Walker, like we're kind of seeing through the bullshit, you know,
Right. I see what you
like,
mean.
Yup.
Okay.
you know, that dude was just like, Jesus Christ. And the irony
Mhm.
was he almost won.
Right.
Exactly.
Had a
But people
runoff.
need, yeah, and people need to understand, like, it's Georgia. I mean, you know, I'm not saying people, you know, I'm not trying to say people, but I'm just saying, like, certain states, you know, people are going to
Right.
come out for certain people, and I think a lot of people are not falling for the okie doke, you know, especially like a lot of artists, you know, a lot of people want to talk about how back in the day music was better, which is true, but at the same time, a lot of those artists, you look back, they were broke. I mean, you know, a lot of these artists now are controlling their destiny, you know, being independent, starting their own businesses, you know, getting out the streets and really making, you know, being successful. So,
Okay. I'm gonna make mine short and sweet. I feel like as black men in America, um, stop making this about sexuality. This ain't got nothing to do with sexuality. If you
yeah,
identify as a man and you are a black man. That's not the issue. The issue is be open minded, but
yeah,
stand on something
right.
or die for nothing. And I'm
Facts.
not saying that nicely. I don't want to be cool and collected about it. I mean what I just said.
Mm.
Find out what you stand on as a black man
Mhm.
or die about nothing. Period. Because they
Yeah,
definitely chopping us down.
yeah.
So,
And again, I'm not saying the world is treating us any better. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying
mhm.
us as people, I feel like we're getting better in certain areas, but we need to work on something else.
Mhm.
Right,
Mhm.
right. Like I'm with him. Like come together. Why we can't do that? You know what I mean? After
Right.
we done working on ourselves, of course. That's where that mental health piece come in. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
You can't
I'm with you.
look. You can't do nothing for anyone else if you don't work on yourself. That's all. Look, we've said that so many different times in so many different ways within the last 2
Right,
seasons. Come on.
right.
Exactly.
Okay. This is a one and done. This is easy. Be super blunt, super honest. If it's zero, it's zero. If it's the bottom of the barrel, let it be the bottom of the barrel. Where does Black Men Misunderstood podcast rank in your viewing and listening pleasure?
I think top five, between top five and top eight. I think for me, I have a heavy rotation of podcasts. I really have a regiment when it comes to certain podcasts. Certain podcasts don't get into my rotation like that. So when you guys get into my rotation, y'all in my rotation, you know. I mess with
Mm,
y'all 100% because a lot of times everybody wants to be like, oh, all these other podcasts are hopping up. You know, some podcasts I want to laugh, some podcasts like I like professional wrestling, so I got professional wrestling podcasts to listen to.
Exactly.
But sometimes you need podcasts, you know, really listen to think about. And sometimes once you're in that rotation, once I hear you guys once and I like it, you're in the rotation. So, you know, you guys are getting up there. So good job.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I'm loving this. This question
Okay.
is really, really good because, you know, people reach out to us all the time via different ways, email, DMing us, texting us personally if they're one of our friends. Any topics you want us to dive in that we haven't touched or do a follow up on a previous episode?
Hold on, let me get my pen and
Yo,
paper.
facts. I literally was about to grab it too.
All right, go ahead. I'm ready.
Yup.
I think maybe because you guys do talk about yourselves and you know your relationships and stuff like that, which I like. Maybe talking about like more TV shows, maybe like if you guys like anime, because I'm a big anime fan too. I know neighborhood therapist. You could maybe talk about like tips when it comes to therapy from both a therapist perspective and you know a client perspective, because I think that's really well. If you guys like sports, talk about sports. I mean, if you guys don't watch sports, then hey, I mean, if you guys don't watch sports, then that's okay. Maybe talk about different business stuff and money tips too, because I think a lot of times that people, I might be blunt.
Hey,
People don't know what the fuck they're talking about sometimes when it comes to money. And I think, you know,
preaching.
and I think, you know, we need to have those real discussions. You know, sometimes it's, you know, we need those basic skills. And I feel like a lot of us sometimes as black people, we tend to be gatekeepers and we can't be like that for each other because, you know, guess what? Everybody helps each other. And, you know, we're the main ones. No, you can't do this. And I think, you know, we need to learn about money tips and stuff like that, you know, budgeting. And, you know, because I think that really helps. 'Cause at the end of the day, you know, money talks, you know, and time flies, man. You go look up, be retirement age. You can't retire if you don't got no money.
Yo, bruh. Yo,
Oh.
that's one thing that I definitely try to take since I was little. I went to a county school where I did learn a lot of different business tools. And I try to think if it was season 1 or season 2 we spoke on it, bro. And we only touched the surface stuff mostly, honestly.
Right.
We could definitely go back and do a little bit more financial literacy on different things from on this. No, go ahead. No, you can, man.
I'm sorry, I was about to say, or like again, like sometimes we might not be an expert or stuff. Maybe you know, bring another guest on too. That could be good.
Yep.
Because I think sometimes we need to, and that's another thing with you know the state of a black man. Like the other question that popped up in my head. I think we're doing better at being ourselves. You know,
Right.
and I think what I mean by that, like, you know, a guy like me likes wrestling. You know, a lot of people like, oh man, do you still get chicks because you like wrestling? Yeah, I do, because I'm, you know, you got to be confident with yourself because I'm a good, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to pub myself, but at the same time, it's like, you know, be comfortable in your skin,
Right.
you know, and I think a lot of us are getting better at that, you know, because back in the day, it was like the macho type stuff, and now you got, you know, different people getting, you know, doing different stuff, and I think that's a good thing. But I didn't mean to get off
No,
topic.
no,
my
no,
bad.
no.
I just,
That's right on
right.
topic. Look, I'll tell you like this. I've been using this word a lot lately, especially because of you know some groups that I have in my job. We're not a monolith. There's no one way to be a black man in America.
yeah.
And that's what you're definitely getting at. And I think that's one of the other reasons why we do this too. Because like, even though me and the neighborhood therapist are the main two voices speaking on this podcast, but when we do bring those other individuals, the black men, older, younger, in between, and they bring their opinions and then their life experiences, it shows you that, yeah, all black men aren't angry black men. All black men ain't strong. All black men ain't macho and whatnot. All the stereotypes from back in the day. So, yeah. Nah. Completely.
Or they're strong different ways.
Mhm.
You know, they might not be strong physically, but they might be strong mentally.
Yep.
I see some of the strongest dudes be the most insecure people. So
Mhm.
it's like, you know,
Ooh, preach on it.
it's different things and different, you know, it's just different strokes, different folks, you know. So
Yeah.
I heard y'all bring up different black men, and it immediately triggered me because I gotta be respectful and just say shout out to Len Studevant. That was crazy. That episode was wild.
Oh, yeah.
all hats off to you because that was dope.
We gotta bring it back too.
Right. When you think about black men having a discussion, you think of the generational gap. That episode, that was crazy. So thank you, David, for bringing that up for sure. Now, real talk. That needs to happen. I think we need to have more conversations with the older generation, the younger generation, and honestly, us, the middle child, as J. Cole calls it, that we stuck in the middle. So let's do it.
Yeah, because I think that we need to listen to both people. Because I think the older generation, sometimes the problem with them is, granted, they've been in our shoes before, but also this is a different game. You know, this is different. Like, for example, like I remember I was at the gym once, and when an older guy told me, man, back in the day, man, I used to take a girl out on a date and pay for the food and went to the movies, and all I got was a kiss on the cheek. But I'm like, now it's like, now it's different. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, but again, it just shows the gap of things. Like, for example, like back then they could have bought a house at 24 with a high school degree working at a factory. But now it's like, shoot, I got a master's. I'm not even at six figures yet. That's the goal. But at the same time, it's just that gap. You know, I think for us as young people need to listen, but also I think sometimes the older folks need to listen to us too, because the game has changed. You know, it's not that simple like, oh, go to college. Why? What I should do in college? I don't know, just go to college. But it's like, what to do, you know? Like,
you trying to pay my student loans after though? That's the other part we don't talk about.
And again, I'm not anti-college. I just think sometimes, you know, we just got to figure out, you just got to work the system like everything, everybody else does.
Yep.
So.
All facts. Okay. Got another question for you.
What's up?
Anything you want to have a conversation about right now on the spot while this podcast is going recorded?
Man, I got so many topics in my mind, man.
Talk about it.
Shoot, let's talk about. You guys watch football?
I do.
It's more a Mike thing, but I entertain it.
Look, David, let me tell you one thing. Don't let this man fool you. This man used to breathe, eat football more than me.
What did you guys think of that What do you guys think about that play that happened Monday with the Cincinnati and the Bills? Or the guy that passed out.
Gotcha. Devastating, definitely. Been praying. I personally, I've been praying for him. Talk to my family and different people I know. I know they all been praying for him, and it's like this situation brought up so many different points of life. Different points in life that people don't understand or are not looking at. It's some of it's frustrating, others is encouraging, and it's funny to me because like my sister shared a video with me of a black man speaking on the whole incident, but the part he was more so focused on was the NFL themselves, talking about how they changed all their policies, the process, the deductibles, the payments to these athletes, and specifically his situation because he's only in the second year. He's only getting paid $100,000 a year currently per season. And, you know, other people think, oh, that's a lot of money, but not thinking he's probably taking care of a whole bunch of other different people. And that this may be his only contract because the shelf life in the NFL is 3 to 4 years. It's only those special individuals that last 10, 15, 20, or even get to 8.
So it's 60,000 per year?
No. He had 600,000. That's his
600,000.
That was his salary per year. But the other thing is that whole contract is not guaranteed. Also,
right?
Because they can cut him like tomorrow. And then another thing about it is that the player's contract, right, that they signed, for you to get like life insurance for yourself for the rest, so you're set, you have to play 3 to 4 years. This is the stuff we don't talk about. This is the business side of things, and this is why people get mad. And when we bring up the owners and how much they make and they get from the endorsement deals, the stadiums, the ticket sales, and the players don't reap the benefits.
Yeah.
That's one of the major things that came up directly after this. Because now people talk about, oh, when we gonna play the game? Oh, he's on my fantasy team's all messed up. Nah, the man almost lost his life.
Somebody could have died. Like
almost lost his life. The man, luckily, he's awake now and he's writing. He's not speaking yet, but he's not also not breathing on his own yet either. He's still on a breathing tube with a ventilator, but they're working through it. He's getting better, which that is what we want. That's what we want. We want this man to survive. Anyone can care less about his NFL career after this. The man is alive right now.
Yeah.
That's the major thing. He's kicking. He's breathing. His family still have a son, a brother, a father.
Yeah.
They still have him. That's the major issue. That's one of the major issues that listen. I heard that and I just like, yeah, I get it. But then you have these individuals that's gonna mess up the playoffs. Bunk the dang playoffs. The NFL is still gonna make their money regardless if he's dead or alive.
Yeah, and it's just in watching that happen, it's just like it kind of shows where it reinforces what people think of us, like, we're just, cattle in the football thing, but also too, a lot of people came together, it was up to, Buffalo and the Bengals was like, no, we ain't playing because that happened. And how do you play? Like,
Facts.
your boy just got, it's just, they took a stand. And I think, like you said too, like a lot of players are retiring early now, like 1 or 2, 3 years. And another thing we didn't talk about too when it comes to that $600 is that, $600. When it comes to that $600,000 is that taxes.
Ooh,
You're not really like, it's not really 600,000. It could be 300,000. Then you gotta support the fam, and then everybody got a business plan all of a sudden, man. That, and then the lifestyle, So then it's just, if he plays again, that's up to him. And I understand, he got the love for the game, but if he's like, I'm good, then he good, because it's not worth it,
Facts. Ryan Shazier. And the crazy thing with his situation, sometimes you have a class act by the organization. The Steeler organization, I gotta give him props. The man was, I think, only in like maybe his second and a half. He was in between his second, third year. And they kept him on contract so he could get all his benefits. And then that man stopped playing.
So I just did some random numbers. I put him at the 23% tax bracket, right? And from 600,000 minus that 23% tax bracket, that's 138,000 taxes that's getting taken out. So that leaves him with $462,000. Now I know people listening to the episode and they're like, "Bro, that's still a lot of money." Not when you come from nothing and your mama is still alive, your daddy may still be alive. You feel like you owe them something, so you buy her a house, you buy him a car. Then you got your sister or your brother, or you got the homies from the block around the way. Because you wasn't taught money, so you don't know no better. You feel like you got this loyalty complex, aka survivor's remorse. All right, I'm getting into my therapy bag. I'm falling back. I'm just saying that 462 is gonna be gone. Like,
bruh,
easy.
Bruh, tell him. And Ian even bring up he potentially could probably have kids. He probably trying to set them up for the future.
Yeah, right. If he knows how to do it properly, because setting them up for the future might be buying them the material things. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really know.
His mindset. I get what you're saying.
I'm just happy that the man is still kicking. He still get another chance. So prayers up.
Yeah, man, it just shows how sometimes in this world we could be so divided, but at the same time we can all come together.
Right.
Like a lot of people donating to this charity. A lot of people coming together, so that's a good thing in a sense because it's like, man, I was just watching the game. And it was just like, man, and then people coming together. So it shows that there's still hope in the world.
Right.
And like again, I'm glad he's up now. Because I think I saw an article talked about like do we win the game? I was like, you won life, bro. You here?
Yo, I saw that and thought the same thing, man.
But again, I get it. You're in the moment, and again, a lot of times when these athletes, have money issues, a lot of people be like, "Well, I would have done this," but it's like, bro, I can't imagine me being 21 or 22 getting 600,000.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like some of y'all can't even manage $40,000. So it's just,
Hell,
it's a lot. And then you got, the money, the girls coming at you,
Mm.
everybody, all of a sudden, everybody's a business major that wants to be like, hey,
let me help you out with
and then
this
you got,
side hustle over here.
Yeah.
Yep.
you don't know about piece of cut. It's and a lot of people don't know that. And it's like, a lot of people want to talk about it, but it's like, you're in the moment. That's why like I give some of these celebrities or athletes a break a little bit because it's like when you're in the moment, getting pulled by all these directions, and you especially coming out of poverty, it's like you don't know, and it's okay because it's like you're in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I kind of think as Black men sometimes we can't be gatekeepers anymore. We got to help each other because everybody else does, and that's what the world keeps spinning. So,
Keep on it.
Eat.
Okay. Give me one more. Give me one more if you got it.
let me see which one. What are some of y'all New Year's goals, man? I know this is kind of New Year. Everybody kind of gets their thoughts and stuff like that. What are some of y'all, goals and thoughts?
Mm.
Like,
So, I think one of my goals for sure, even though I preach on it a lot in the past seasons, but I'm really sticking to my guns this year. Financial stability, right? My New Year's goal is basically working on my SMART goals, you know,
mhm,
to get into financial stability. Hence, making sure my credit, me and my wife's credit is good, up to par. So when we do have kids, we're not struggling, none of those
yeah,
issues. Also coming up with a proper business plan. So I've been hinting all season that I'm coming forward with a business. Neighborhood therapist also has been on my butt, trying to make sure I'm taking the steps to get there, and I am. He can tell you that for fact. We have conversations about this all the time. So I'm doing the necessary steps to make sure I'm putting my best foot forward. To getting financial stable, starting my business, and all that good stuff. So it's basically bettering my my state of being right now.
mhm.
That's more so my goal. So yeah, that's probably my main goal for the new year at this point. Yep.
That's good, man. That's good.
Okay. Um, it's not me being petty. I really feel like this. I really stand on this. It's not an opinion. This how I'm living. Um, the new year don't start till March. Again, that's how I'm coming. So
I know where
right
you about to
now,
go, but go ahead.
right now, it's still technically whatever year they want to say it is. Okay, 2022, whatever.
Mhm.
We supposed to be in a state of rest. We're supposed to be winding down. In March, in spring, when they say Yeshua HaMashiach was really born, yeah, I'm being petty now. Is the rebirth? It's time to come alive. It's the new year. And at that moment, me personally, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and fully live in my purpose because I'm on record saying that I've been running from my purpose forever since I found out what it was. Because I ain't want no smoke with that.
Yeah,
So my goal in 2023, the new year, is to like just really fully engulf in my purpose, actually come outside, help people, talk to people, be just be this people person that I know I can be, even though I don't like human beings, even though I'm a phenomenal therapist, I still don't like human beings. It is
All
what
right,
it
Mr.
is.
Amavert.
But but I'm but I'm definitely gonna come outside. I'm definitely gonna be there for my people and be there for this one is hard for me to say out loud. All people. Because I do be feeling the type of way about certain things, certain life situations, but after praying on it, and like I said, I've grown so much from that first episode. I do understand where Malcolm X was coming from towards the end of his life. I get it.
yeah,
We just got to get through that threshold for our people, and then, take in abundance from others. So I definitely get it. That's definitely the goal. And looking forward to 33. I mean, I'm only gonna be 32 this year, but I'm talking about 33 next year. It's on popping both these years.
yeah.
So
Yo,
let's get
bro,
it.
you ain't say nothing but a word.
Get it.
Yeah.
Get it. That's a phenomenal question though, David. Where you going with that? What about you?
I think my goal is this year, me being a social worker, I want to get my LCSW. I took a break from studying because In Illinois, they passed a law that you could just apply for your LSW. It's kind of like your LPC. So, I'm like, cool, I'm good at the job and I get another job. So this year I want to get on that boat. This year too, just trying to do different things. I think I feel where you're coming from because for me, like I'm a solo person when it comes to certain stuff, like solo traveling, going out to eat by myself. So just, sometimes, dating yourself. I think a lot of times what happens, we get too caught up in our routines and, especially being a therapist part time too, you can burn out. So having that time of like, walking on the lakefront, maybe when it gets warm outside, or trying new restaurants. Like for me, I'm kind of like a foodie. I don't eat meat, but I'm a pescatarian.
Okay.
But I, just have a restaurant list, and try different things. There's this place, I forget, it's not an escape room, but those spots that you could like break stuff in, like with a hammer. Like I want to try one of those.
I'm with you.
Ooh.
I think it's called a break room.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, that's hard. Well, you said something interesting, man, and I don't be stalking you, bro. I pay attention to my guests. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of those pictures, you are alone. Like you dead ass. Like you go and you travel alone.
Yeah, so sometimes for me, like, so for example, if I'm going to WrestleMania this year, so I'm going with one of my guys because we both like wrestling.
Humble brag.
we both like wrestling, so I go with him because we got the Airbnb. He has his own spot, I mine, and stuff like that. But mostly, yeah, sometimes I go by myself because sometimes you don't want to wait on people. Like
Right.
sometimes we're scared of, like we're scared to be by ourselves. And I think like my mentor, he told me that he likes that in me because it's like you're gonna go on a trip, you're gonna go. Because a lot of times like we try to wait on people, and by the time you go, it's like you're not gonna go. So like I went to St. Martin by myself on my birthday last year. I went to Mexico for my birthday year before. When I graduated with my master's in social work, I went to Dominican Republic by myself.
Oh,
Then I went to Toronto in October a couple years ago. So it's kind of like one of those things that, you have to really want to do it, because again, people be like, oh, how can you bring somebody else? It's like, I'm open to travel with people, but at the same time, it's like, you just want your me time, and some people like, I had a friend, we kind of fell out because of that. And it's like, no, take it personal, but it's like, I just need that for me. Like when I was to St. Martin chilling, it was kind of like, it was relaxing. It was kind of the, a way to reset, think about what you want to do coming back. You need that, especially us being therapists, because we take on the world's problems, full time and part time. Like the VA, I take on the world's problems. And even as a therapist, sometimes, you have to sit and process that, and sometimes you either can be by yourself or because again, like we put on everything and it's like we have to be strong for everybody else. And sometimes taking those trips are good to relax. So that's why I like it. And I think too, for me, being a guy is different than women. I'm not saying women can't travel by themselves, but for example, like I take stuff for granted sometimes. Like I went out to the House of Blues for New Year's Eve. They had an R&B only night, and I think they're traveling too, so it was pretty fun. But I took an Uber there and an Uber back. Now me, I'm a decent sized guy. I wish somebody would try to take advantage of me, but me as a guy, I don't have to think about stuff like that. But I think about like some of like my homegirls I know, it's like, they might get an Uber, the Uber might try to shoot their shot. Part of me, respects them shooting their shot because you never know what's happened. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like people aren't supposed to talk at work, but guess what? But at the same time, guys can be too aggressive and girls just want to go home, Then when you go overseas, you gotta think about customs. You don't know who's with who.
True.
And it's like, I'm not saying like, because I know some girls that go travel by themselves. I respect it because I asked them like, how you feel? And they're like, just, be careful and be careful in certain areas. So I think that's one thing I'm learning too. And just be aware of.
Respect. That's a bunch of gems right there. A
Yeah.
bunch of gems right there. But
yeah. How was it?
Hey, you can start your own podcast if you want.
Hey,
After this, I was thinking about low key, man. I just gotta get some stuff straightened out first. But I would say I was in H Town a couple years ago, and man, let me say, Onyx was lit. Address was lit too. I like Address. I had a chance to go to Turkey Leg Hut. That was when I was eating meat for real. But I think Turkey Leg Hut was good. But I think it was one of those places that I'll probably go just once. It's not bad, just one of those places I go once because I was like, man, all that food kind of made my stomach hurt, but it was good. So
okay, he know the spots. He know the spot.
yeah, so I gotta go. I gotta get back to Houston.
Hey, you need to get on Mike B. He ain't been to Houston yet.
I know. I told you,
bro. I've been in Texas for 12
I
years.
told you I was coming this year.
I heard you,
bruh. I said I'm just booking. I'm gonna book it. I'm gonna tell you when. We just gonna do it.
Because I've been to Dallas too. Because WrestleMania was in Dallas last year, so I had a chance to go to Dallas. I will say this: I think Dallas is more chill. Like if you want more of a chill aspect up vibe, Houston's a movie, bro. Like Houston is like, yo, like it is fun because a lot of, especially it's like a lot of black people prospering there. Like a lot of people say like that with Atlanta, but Houston's low key that next spot.
Respect.
If we can get this crime under control, but yeah.
I'm from Chicago. I'm already knowing.
Right.
Matter of fact, I think some of the crime went over there.
Yo, it feel like it, bro. It feel like it. You being from Chicago, right? I need to ask a question. You ever been to Jerk 48?
I haven't.
Want to know how that tastes? And I know it's a I think they got vegetarian dishes too. So, all right, yes, I need somebody gotta let me know.
If I go, I got you.
All right. Mike, you got anything, man?
Nah, man. David came on here dropping gems, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The only thing I just want to add one thing to what he said about traveling on his own. So yes, everyone knows I recently just got married. But from talking to other couples, talking to our counselors and everything, and like going to the church that we go to now, they always say you cannot give yourself to another person unless you're whole. So me time is important, even when you're married. Just throwing it out there.
I agree 100%, man. I mean, I'm not married, but seeing what people go through, especially when people get, and sad to say, I don't want to say this because I'm for black marriage, but when people get divorced, they have to refine their identity because they were always meshed with that person. And not even just marriage, when it comes to kids too. Like me and my mentor talk about this a lot, where a lot of people kids go off to college, they need to build their own identity. Like my mom was the king of that. My mom was like, "Shoot, I'm traveling. You gotta like do something. Like you have to do something because what happens is you get, and your kids are important. I'm not saying they're not, but at the same time, you need to have your own identity. Date night, like have a date night with your husband, or
over here,
go out with the homies. You know what I'm saying? And having that because you need that because, and again, I'm not saying don't like. Again, I ain't saying don't do nothing you have no business doing. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is sometimes you need that separate time away because, again, this is supposed to be a lifetime bond. And, those are the type of stuff that keeps a marriage strong, And, and again, and also, too, I'd say something for the married people. Sometimes the single friends want you to be married more than your married friends because sometimes the married friends be on bullshit.
Right. That's fact.
Because I'm seeing a lot of my friends get married and I'm like, I'm for, marriage because, you find your person, as good. So I may try to make sure like I don't put people in their situation. Now, at the end of the day, people gonna do them. If people grown and you're gonna do grown stuff, you're gonna have to take responsibility. But at the same time, it's like, don't block out your single friends because they single, Because some married people be on dirt,
That's real.
That's real. It's funny to say that. Yo, just ever since you met Jairus, I forget when you met Jairus, but Jairus is one of my single friends. I always try to have him tag along in everything. Him and JP, always. I never forget my single friends. That's true. That's true.
Okay. So, David, I wanted to tell you virtually, face to face. I'm pretty sure I'll meet you in the future, face to face. I'm standing on what I just said. But for real, I want to appreciate you for being a part of this journey because when we started the podcast, I had no idea where it would go. DJ Daxter didn't even like he gave us like 3 episodes. He was like, we'll see. so to hear that we into season 3, and we got so many people showing us love. You hit me up all the time, like, bro, that was a dope episode. Hey man, y'all gotta keep that going. I like that energy. Like, I don't want you to think that I'm just looking at that. I'm like, oh yeah, right, bro. I take that to heart. It makes my day. It helps me feel better. And I haven't been on Instagram in like a month. It's been a while, but when I get back on in February, like, I'll be looking forward to that again. And anything you need from me personally, bro, reach out.
Most definitely, man.
Love is love, bro. You coming into Houston, reach out, bro. Like, we can get it done.
Most definitely.
I ain't gotta add nothing to that. I'm just co-sign everything he just said, because I ain't gonna add nothing to that. Bruh, I ain't gotta add nothing to that.
Well, hold on, David. Before we let you go, let the listeners know how to get in touch with you. You know what it is that you promoting, anything like that.
Well, I'm on Instagram. My Instagram is _greatest48. There's no meaning behind it. It was just when I was in college, I had to think of an Instagram name, and you can find me on Twitter with the same thing, the _greatest48. I guess I'm just promoting, just living life and staying safe, man. Just try to live outside the box and just live righteous and
Hey, now for the female listeners, don't just be running up on my boys' DMs like that just because you want some of him. This man, this man is a quality. Y'all heard what he was dropping on this episode earlier. All right, come correct.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. I think me getting older, I look at women differently now in the sense of, okay, what do I want long term? Like sometimes when I'm out, it's like I'm not trying to tell women how to dress or nothing like that. But sometimes it's like okay, I want somebody that can not think like me, but at the same time, like I'm looking at how you feel, how you carry yourself. Like you could dress how you want to dress, but at the same time, like I can't take you to a gala or like take you to my mom's. You know what I'm saying? So it's like and also too like how y'all with money and picking your battles. A lot of people talked about Will Smith and Chris Rock, and I'm like, I felt I was on Chris Rock's side because a lot of dudes are in jail or dead because of stuff like that. Granted, I'm glad cooler heads prevail, but what if Will Smith slapped Chris Rock and Chris Rock had to do in his crew that was like, I'll see you outside. It could have ended a lot of different ways, and you got to be careful on like what battles you pick. Cause I knew a couple chicks that be like at the mouth with it quick, and it's like dudes don't have that moral code no more. I've seen dudes cold cock chicks, and it's like, and again, I don't condone it. I'm not saying I'm gonna hit a woman. I'm not saying that. But I'm not speaking for everybody. So just being careful what battles you pick, and I think just how you carry yourself. I think a lot of times people want to be talkative and loud and stuff. Sometimes it's not what you say; it's what you don't say. It's how you carry yourself.
Another gem, man. Another gem.
Yeah.
Yo. We need to get off here before we all here for another hour, yo.
Hey, if you guys want me on the show again, please let me know, man. I'm down. So
back, man. We appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir. And with that said, folks, we see y'all next week. What up, listeners? Mike B here. Hope you enjoyed the episode. You can find us on IG at BMM_podcast. On TikTok at BMM Podcast. Facebook, just type in the Black Man Misunderstood Podcast. And then you can find the Neighborhood Therapist at the Neighborhood Therapist on IG. And you can find myself at MikeB_BMM on IG. And if you want to connect with our producer, the DJ himself, Mr. DJ Daxter, check him out at DJ Daxter on IG. Alright, folks. See y'all next week.